Hello, and welcome back to Africanaba, showing you the Africa they never show you. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to press the red subscribe button below, it's free. Oil is the backbone of many economies in the world. As a matter of fact, the majority of the richest countries in the world are also oil-producing countries. It is said that oil is the lifeblood of industrialized nations. Crude oil is used for transportation, heating and electricity generation, varied petroleum products, and plastics. Africa has always been blessed with natural resources and large oil reserves. It's no shock that some of its countries are part of the world's leading oil producers. Oil has always been a very expensive commodity. Since the beginning of time, man has always sought for a means to change the way we live. And that led to industrialization, but to power those industries, there is a commodity that plays an extremely important role. Oil. It powers companies, industries, and even cities. And some countries in the world have loads and loads of this, exploiting them and financially aiding its economy to rise to power, not only in Africa but in the world. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of Africa's largest oil producers. And if you like the content you see, please press the like button below. And make sure to share this video to help educate someone about Africa. Number 10. Chad is a landlocked country in Central Africa. Although ranked as one of the poorest countries in the world, it has substantial oil reserves, which makes a substantial amount in its exports revenue. With the country producing over 110,000 barrels of oil per day, it remains the 10th largest oil producer in Africa, and 40th globally. Because of Chad's landlocked status, the majority of its oil produce has to be transported out of the country via a pipeline leading to Cameroon, where it can be available for transportation at a seaport. Chad's oil and petroleum industry has faced a lot of challenges in recent years, from corruption scandals to internal conflicts, and even problems surrounding its oil transportation via the pipeline have been a major issue in subsequent years, as several oil spills have caused major concerns to the environmentalists in the region. But despite being in the top 10 oil producers, Chad is still one of the most underdeveloped countries in Africa. And for those who are still wondering exactly what oil is, officially called crude oil, is a liquid fuel source located underground. It is extracted through drilling. Oil is used for transportation, heating and electricity generation, varied petroleum products, and plastics. Number 9. Gabon, a very prosperous country located along the west coast of Central Africa, is said to be the continent's 9th largest oil producer. Gabon has enjoyed quite a thriving economy thanks to its oil and petroleum sector. Accounting for 80% of its exports, Gabon's GDP, gross domestic product, has increased exponentially since it discovered oil in the early 1970s, producing over 210,000 oil barrels per day. Its rise to power has been sharp and quick, following its highest production peak in 1997, which was said to be 370,000 barrels per day. However, due to oil fluctuations, its oil production has faced a decline in recent years. Gabon officially rejoined the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, in July 2016. Gabon was previously a member of OPEC from 1975 to 1995, but it left the organization because of high annual fees. In 2019, oil-based GDP growth is estimated to be 7.9%, and the overall GDP growth is estimated to be 3.4%, according to the International Monetary Fund. Gabon has a single refinery, the Sagara Refinery, which is owned by Société Gabonaise de Raffinage (SOGARA), and is located at Port Gentil. Compared to other nations in the region, Gabon is a matured oil nation. Its oil industry gained attention in 1931, when several deposits were discovered around its capital, Libreville. Gabon has about 2 billion barrels of proven crude oil reserves, and has the fifth largest oil reserves in the region. The government of Gabon controls all petroleum and mineral rights within the state. In addition to being an oil producer and net oil exporter, Gabon possesses an abundance of natural resources, and has a strong agricultural sector. Equatorial Guinea is number 8 on the list. Equatorial Guinea, also located in the central part of Africa, consists of a mainland and an insular region, meaning it's made up of several islands and a mainland. Producing 227,000 barrels per day, it ranks 8th on this list and 37th globally. Though the country has been experiencing some economic growth, it's hard to ignore the state in which the country is in. With its wealth distributed unevenly amongst its people, only very few benefits from its soil riches. Less than half of its population have access to clean drinking water. The country ranks 144th on the 2019 Human Development Index. Interestingly enough, it has become the richest country per capita in Africa. It was in 1995, when the American oil company Mobil discovered oil in Equatorial Guinea, that the country's story changed and there was significant economic transformation. Since then, but not enough of that has been used to change the lives of the masses, and the wealth is largely in the hands of a few. Sudan and South Sudan. The countries of Sudan and South Sudan is a tale of betrayal, with both countries once sharing the same borders. The independence of South Sudan in 2011 came as a blow to Sudan and the world. Here's why. Sudan, a Northeast African country, experienced an economic boom in the early 2000s, largely due to its newfound discovery of oil reserves and its oil exploitation in the coming months. Sudan was considered one of the fastest-growing economies at a point in the 2010s, primarily caused from its fat profits from the oil sector. Sudan's tipping point was the secession of South Sudan, as over 80% of Sudan's oil fields were stationed in the borders of South Sudan. Due to this stark new reality, Sudan's GDP growth slowed dramatically and its economy in recession. South Sudan, now known as the Republic of South Sudan, is an east-central country in Africa. After its independence from Sudan, it became the most recent sovereign country with widespread recognition. However, independence did not help the nation's economic growth, as it was still considered one of the world's most underdeveloped countries, having little existing infrastructure and one of the highest female illiteracy rates in the world as of 2011. After its split from Sudan, her oil fields became a very important tool to helping its economy, having a very large oil reserve, which is ranked third largest in sub-Saharan Africa, and 4 times in size than of its Sudan counterpart. South Sudan immediately started its journey to oil exploitation. However, here comes the hard part, as most of its oil pipelines and ports still resided on the other side of town, Sudan. Here began a forced, newly formed alliance between the two countries. The alliance made this new, unified Sudan, the 4th largest non-OPEC African oil producer. They both produce over 255,000 barrels per day, making them the 7th largest oil producers in Africa and 35th globally. And before we continue, take 5 seconds to press the like button, and the red subscribe button. It's free, and helps us create more content that you want to see and reach more people. And remember, it's free. Number 6. The Democratic Republic of Congo. The Republic of Congo is a country located in Central Africa. Ranked the 6th largest oil producer in Africa and 31st in the world, the economy of Congo is highly reliant on its oil reserves, as oil production accounts for 85% of its export revenues. Due to this, the government was able to launch a large-scale development project, which helped the country substantially, producing over 308,000 barrels of oil per day. You could say for some of the Congolese population, the discovery of oil has been a blessing, while for the majority it's been a curse. Development of the sector has been halted as political uncertainties and unionist movement, as well as maintenance costs in a country with poor transport infrastructure, has been a major problem. Number 5. Egypt. Egypt is a prosperous northeast country in Africa. The country boasts a well-diversified economy, enjoying various sources of revenue. Producing close to 700,000 oil barrels per day, Egypt is the largest non-OPEC oil producer in Africa. Its economy has experienced one of the most amazing recoveries since an Arab uprising shook its borders in 2011. Since then, the government has worked to make the country more attractive for foreign investment by implementing investor-friendly reforms like reducing subsidies and reducing the number of payments in arrears to international oil companies. Although Egypt has experienced a stable economy, its oil production, however, has dropped dramatically in the last decade, majorly due to maturing oil fields. With this, the country still ranks as the 5th largest oil producer in Africa and 26th in the world. Number 4. Libya is a country in the northern part of Africa, primarily built on its large oil reserves, and who can blame it? Having the continent's largest oil reserves, it'll be a sin not to exploit it. So it's no surprise it's 4th on this list. With oil production reaching 1 million barrels per day, it accounts for 97% of its exports, as Libya is a very important distributor of oil in Africa. However, with its economy largely reliant on oil production, Libya lacks diversification and unable to tackle several problems like increasing unemployment and illiteracy, lack of strong governance and institutions. This poses a very large threat to its economy's future. The National Oil Corporation is the largest oil company of Libya. The majority of Libyan oil is exported to European markets. Oil reserves in Libya are the largest in Africa and among the 10 largest globally. Number 3. Algeria. Coming in at 3rd is Algeria, located in the northern part of the continent. Like most of its African counterparts, Algeria is also very reliant on its oil reserves, making up 60% of its budget revenues and 95% of export earnings. It produces around 1.3 million barrels a day and is the 6th largest gas exporter in Africa. However, its reliance also poses a problem to its economy, unable to fully implement its diversifying plan to attract foreign and domestic investors outside the energy sector. The plan has done little to reduce the high unemployment rates plaguing its borders. Along with gas, Algeria is a large oil producer with 12.2 billion barrels of proven oil reserves. The country exports 540,000 bd of its total production of about 1.1 million bd. All proven oil reserves are held onshore, though offshore exploration is in the early stages. According to Sonatrach, the state-owned national oil company, about 2/3 of Algerian territory remains unexplored or largely underexplored. Most of these areas are in the north, the deep south and offshore, a total landmass of 919,600 square miles. The country is rich in natural resources, is an OPEC member, and is the largest in terms of landmass in Africa. Algeria has the 10th largest proven reserves of natural gas in the world, is the 6th largest gas exporter and has the 3rd largest reserves of shale gas. It also ranks 16th in proven oil reserves. Angola, regarded as the 7th largest country in Africa, is located on the west coast in the southern part of the continent. The Angolan economy, however, being the second largest oil producer in Africa, has experienced quite a gruesome history and economic stagnation. After the end of a 27-year-long civil war, the Angolan government prioritized the repair and improvement of infrastructure while strengthening its political and social institutions in the process. All these efforts were meant to kickstart its weakened economy, and with its large oil reserves and extensive natural resources, the plan was able to become a success. During this period, its oil production went as high as 2 million barrels per day, towering its African counterparts. However, due to fluctuating production, lack of new investments, high inequality, and its high dependence on its oil sector, in recent years, Angola's oil production has dwindled to 1.7 million barrels per day, ways shy from its original peak. With new announcements of investments and discoveries, the government is positive its oil sector will experience massive boosts, and soon take the crown in the coming years. Nigeria, producing close to 2 million barrels a day. Nigeria is Africa's largest oil producer and 13th in the world. Being the most populous country and having the second largest oil reserves on the continent, Nigeria does well to exploit its oil reserves almost perfectly, making up 80% of its export revenue. But there is always a but, isn't it? Due to high corruption, vandalism, increasing unemployment rates, Nigeria's economic growth has slowed in recent years, affecting its oil production too. After years of oil exploration, its major source of crude oil, Niger Delta is said to be the world's capital of oil pollution, with over 300 oil spills each year, destroying both livelihood and access to clean water. However, a newer organization has been formed called the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Its sole aim is to help speed up the region's economic and social development as well as clean up and prevent further oil spills. Thanks for watching. We hope you learned something new about Africa today. If you did, please press the red subscribe button, it's free, and like and share the video with someone. If you have any topics you would like us to cover, leave a comment below. Africanaba, showing you the Africa they never show you. See you next time.
Bye.